Welcome to Vibing with Az, and I'm your host, Az. Today, we will be talking about how to make a dance resume for any job, whether it be auditions, teaching gigs, or anything dance related. This is your video for that. First things first, I wanted to say my cousin gave me the inspo for this video. She doesn't even know that she gave me this inspo. Follow my cousin. This is their page on YouTube. Go click subscribe to their channel, then come back and continue watching this. Why do we need a resume? A resume highlights your skills and let people know that you're an expert in your field for whatever job that you're applying for. It is so important to have a resume, even though we are in this age of social media. There are still a lot of people asking for dance resumes. Coming from a college background, it took me a lot of time to compile this list from just listening, trial and error, and experimenting with things. Where would you use your resume? You can use your resume to apply for jobs, intensives, auditions, and other programs that may require you to have an extensive knowledge of dance. Let's get into the categories you should use in your resume. These categories differ from resume to resume, and some of them are not needed in every type of resume. So I will be stating which ones are which, but just so you all don't get confused. The first thing on your resume should be your name. It should be big, or a big enough font for people to know that that's your name, along with our location and contact info. Location doesn't need to be your exact address, but you need to say the area you're in. So if you're in New York, put New York City. If you're in Honolulu, Hawaii, put Honolulu, Hawaii. Letting people know where you are and how to contact you. These are the three most important things to have on your resume, and it is needed on every single resume. Our next category is tagline. This is only needed on some resumes. It depends on what you're applying for, but if you wear many hats as a dancer, choreographer, creative director, your tagline is the point to put that. Next is our headshot. So as a person of color, I've been recommended by professionals that I have different dance headshots for myself. In every hairstyle, if you're somebody that changes your hair color a lot, you need to have a headshot in every single different way that you look, because that's kind of what they're looking for. It's important to have a headshot on your resume. We'll get into resume format later. Our next category is age, height, and weight. This is something that should be put on your audition resume. So when you're auditioning for something, it's very important to put your age and height. Some of them may not care about weight, but it won't hurt to include it anyway. I know that there's this big stigma, but trust me, it is something that people are still looking for. I was applying for something the other day and I forgot this on my resume, and they asked me. So for anybody that out there that wants to dance professionally and keep their dance career going, if you want to be in music videos, TV, film, you got to include that age and height and weight, babe. I'm sorry. We have another one that is for certain resumes, depending on what you're applying for, an about/short bio. It shouldn't be too long, but this is the perfect time for you to kind of buff yourself up and name drop a little. When we're just listing all those things in those categories, it can get kind of hard for people to know what you've done. But when you have a nice little short bio, no more than 5 sentences, telling people, hey, I've danced with this choreographer, and I've held positions not only as a dancer, but as a stagehand or a stage manager. And it just allows you to kind of talk yourself up a bit, especially if you've been in a college program where every year you're learning new things and you're having all these new skills. So that's your little point to brag and to tell a little bit about yourself. But please don't 3 sentences to 5 sentences. Even 5 sentences is kind of pushing it, but I think mine is 5 sentences. This one is kind of needed in all resumes: your skills, achievements, and or extracurriculars. So you want to put different skills for yourself. If you're flexible, both in physically and mentally, that's a skill there. If you are proficient in hip hop, that's a skill. If you know how to edit audio and video, put all those things in your skills section, because those are all things that people are looking for. It's nice to have a little, hey, I have some of this knowledge in my back pocket to use. Extracurriculars, I say that just for my people that are in college or still coming out of high school. If you held a position in the club, put that on there because you did work for that and you gained skills through that, and it helps just to buff up your resume a little bit. I know it's really important to have a one-page resume, but at the same time, people want to see that you've been doing stuff. And so if your resume is a little loose, that's the time to add in those awards slash achievements slash scholarships that you've gotten, as well as those extracurricular activities that you've been a part of. Even if you just helped out with your school's auditions one day, that can be, you can turn that into like theater department liaison, spring 22. Look at that. That's a position that you held at the auditions, and that's something that you could put there. Our next categories we can add on our resume, which should be on any type of resume, our dance education and dance training. I'm going to separate these two because dance education and dance training are two different things. So training is more when you're just in class. That's all the physical work that you have done to build yourself up and learn all these things about your body and others through dance. Our dance education is more so when you're going into those classes and learning those other things. Our skeletal models, the scientific things that have to go behind dance, sitting in class for hours talking about music theory, like those are the things that go into dance education. So if you went to a school like a performing arts school or college for dance, put that under dance education. If you've done a lot of intensives, if you take classes with different teachers, that under the dance training category. If you've taken things like heels and hip hop with certain teachers that you have known over the years, that's definitely the place to put your training under. You could kind of combine the two if you want for your thing to be shorter, but that's just what I have done on my resume and what I recommend. Next, we want to include our performance experience, both virtual and live performances. This kind of speaks for itself. Our last category will be choreography work. This is kind of a if needed thing. Not all dancers are choreographers, but if you are a choreographer and you want to show people like I have work out there, especially if you have work on your website or on YouTube somewhere that people can just search it up with your name, it's perfect to just put notable. I have notable choreographic works because I have a lot of choreography out there and I choreographed a lot in college. And so I just mentioned a few. That kind of lets people know that I've done several things. I've choreographed a lot, but here's some things that I feel like stand out about me. And those are all the categories we should include in our resume. Moving on to the format. So there's kind of like 3 ways that you can format your resume that are most common for dancers and artists and creatives. I use the headshot in the corner with all the info down the page. That is easier for people to see everything on that one page of you, and it can be front back. Another way to do it is to have all your info, name, all that things, all the writing on the front page, and on the back to have your headshot full scale so that people can see it close up of you. This was a recommendation given to me by somebody that often auditions cruise line dancers. He took all of our resumes and said, this is the best way to do it in an audition. All that info in the front, headshot in the back. The last common way to do it is the sweet, simple, nice version. No bio, no none of that. Just blank, just very plain, all those categories going down just for those auditions. At auditions, I'm sorry, but nobody wants to read your 3-page resume at an audition. It's quick, it's easy, especially if you're going to open calls. It would just be quick and easy to have a headshot and a plain, short, sweet resume that shows everything that you've done without all the fluff. I'll have different resumes for different things. I think that as dancers, we should at least have 2 different types of resumes, whether that be your 9-to-5 resume for regular jobs you've worked, or your resume for teaching dance jobs. That's another type of resume to have, or your resume for strictly auditions. I definitely recommend that you have 2 different ones so that it's easy for you to send them in for different jobs. For example, for my teaching jobs, I like to put all that dance education and training at the top, as opposed to when I'm looking for a job, I just want to put all my experience, my teaching experience up front, then show that I have a college degree, and then show that I'm also a performer. And so it kind of just depends on you. You could put your resume format however you wish. This is just my recommendations as somebody that is dancing professionally now and has a BFA in dance. You don't have to take my advice, but you obviously clicked on this video to get it. Lastly, here are some tips for your resume. If you claim to be anything like a model or an audio editor, please have a portfolio. Yes, people are gonna want to look for that. It's important to have a portfolio on hand. It's important to have all those extra things on hand to send people. Is one thing, but also having a reel, a CVC, which is kind of different than a resume, way more in depth. And just a gallery of photos of yourself or projects that you've done. Having anything to add on top of your resume just gives you more je ne sais quoi, like, you know, like it just gives you a little something more than just here's my resume with nothing to show for it. Here's some work that I've done as well. Tip number 2, include anything that you think is a skill. Anything that you think can help a dance production or the dance team that you're auditioning for, include that. If it's a skill, include it. Being flexible is a skill. Knowing how to teach gymnastics is a skill. Like, all these things are skills. And so talking to people is a skill. Like, so include those skills in there, because at the same time, they want to hire multifaceted people. Can you dance? Can you model? Those things put you above other people sometimes, depending on the job. It really depends on the job, though. Resume tip number 3. Your resume should grow with you. It should develop with you. I know my resume compared, my first resume, I'm going to show a picture of it on the screen. So dull, so boring. 5 years later, after graduating college and all these things, I was able to build up my resume to now look a lot better like this. And so your resume has to develop with you. People want to see that you're constantly working, constantly doing things, because sometimes people don't want to hire unexperienced people. They don't want to teach you how to do things. So if you come in with that set of skills and they can just put you on, that's going to catapult you even further. We are living in the age of social media. People are now going on our social media accounts and saying, I think that she would be great for this video, or I think that he would be great here for this company. And so social media is now becoming a hunting ground for auditions. So I definitely recommend that everybody go follow Kiki Castings on Instagram. She drops a lot of game for dancers that want to take it to the next level to go into TV and film. A lot of tips on how to refresh my page, just seeing her reels on social media. And so she spits a lot of game. A lot of it is free, so get the free game where you can. And I think that there's a lot of other creators out there that are kind of telling you how to spruce up your social media. So if you don't have a resume or needed to work on your resume, I hope that this video helped you. And let me know what other things that you will want to see from me, because I will always love video ideas. I don't know when my next video will be, but thank you for watching, and thank you for vibing with